Have you ever felt a compulsion to do things that you wouldn't normally do?
Yes.
And do you now?
Do I now? Like
Yeah.
talking to you?
Well, not at this very second, but I mean, in the past couple of years.
Yes.
Okay. And do you want to talk about that? Do you want to...
I don't really remember it, but the feeling is familiar.
Feeling compelled to do something that you wouldn't normally do.
Thinking, why am I doing this?
Okay. And do you hear voices?
I hear memories of conversations. I call them voices.
Okay.
Or thought up conversations. They're not actual voices. They're like, it would be funny if someone said this, and then I said this, and then.
Have you ever heard voices in the past?
One time when I was running away, I was in the driveway, and I heard a voice say, "Go back." And I said, "Who the hell is that?" "God." I said, "Oh, I shouldn't have sworn." The drug dealer above me would talk through this floor. I think he had some way of seeing what I was doing. I have no idea how. But he would say things and try and convince me it was God talking to me. I don't really believe that I'm that important. I don't think that would happen.
Well, if you know about murders and you know about blood sacrifices,
Yeah.
to a degree, you could be that important.
Yeah, but I have no proof. It's just my word against theirs, and I'm crazy.
So have you ever had periods of missing time or
Yes.
amnesia?
Years. 8 years at a time.
8 years?
Mm-hmm.
You're missing 8 years?
I've been missing 8 years at a time.
Do you have periods now where you have... Wow.
You mean like how'd I get here?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Or a couple hours went by and you didn't realize that...
Usually that's because I'm sleeping.
Okay. You don't have any moments of amnesia?
I do on occasion. Like after I visited my family, I'd be like, how did I get this? Oh yeah, he gave it to me. And what did we do? I don't remember.
So you block certain moments of time out, or you're missing certain
Like I
moments
went
of
up north and visited my folks, and I told them I'm allergic to bees. I'm deathly allergic to bees, just to see what they would do, because they'd been complaining about wasps. He insisted I drink this tea, and it had wasps in it. He killed them and put them in there, and he said drink it all. And I ate the wasps. They were kind of tangy and actually tasted good.
And when was that? When did
That was last year.
Last year. So they're still doing things to you.
Yeah. I wanted to die at that time.
Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another question. And after fashion, when your parents are still abusing you.
Mhm. He taught me how to change the oil in a car. And when he did it, he touched my hand to the hot catalytic converter. And he said, I just wanted to make sure you remembered that you shouldn't do that, because you have trouble remembering things, and I wanted to make sure you knew that, to caution you. I did it out of concern and love. And I said, no, you didn't. And I told some people in my Bible study about that. They said, that's abuse. You should have reported that. And I was like, I'm not a minor. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that can be done. They have every story grounded. Failure to thrive was written on my report card more than once. It would be very hard for me. My dad tore the muscles in my sister's neck, shaking her one time when he was beating me when I was 16, because he was saying I was disrespectful to my mother, because I'd been sitting in the floor by her feet and watching a TV show, and she's like, see, he dances like Fred Astaire, isn't he great? I said, no, I don't think he's that great. And she got so mad at me, and she was kicking me, and I said, stop it or I'll hit you. And I slapped her foot gently, and so I ran upstairs. He caught me halfway. He beat me against the wall. He threw me down the stairs. He beat me against the floor and the wall. He was punching me in the kidneys, and he said, I am going to bury you in the basement. You're going to dig a hole with your fingers through the tile, through the padding, through the cement, through the dirt, and then I'm going to bury you up to your neck, feed you your fingers and toes, and you're going to die down there. No one will ever...
And how old were you?
16.
Man.
He was a strong man.
And seeing what you've already seen, that didn't seem so far-fetched. I mean, he might actually do that.
And I thought, he really doesn't love me. He has no heart. He has no compassion. This man is soulless. And he had foam, white foam, coming out of his mouth.
Really?
He was spitting on me, and his eyes were black. And then I had to write a 2-page paper on how I thought they had failed as parents, and then they went through every point and ridiculed it, and made me neatly, calmly, gently fold the laundry, and then sent me to bed without eating.
Do you think your father was demon-possessed?
I'm sure he is. I can look at him and think of a demon very easily.
A specific one?
He would be red.
That's the name of it? Oh, the Satan himself. So have you ever had moments where you felt like you weren't in yourself?
Yeah. I used to have moments where I'd be like flying over the fields and thinking, this is my escape. It was like astral projection or something. And I also had spirit guides. I didn't know what they were called at the time, but I had them.
And these spirit guides would tell you to do things, or?
They wouldn't really talk to me, but I knew they were there.
You ever physically see them?
Yes, just once. I saw one of them. It was a hooded figure with claws and was dragging me. This was the night I got saved. May 15th, 1990, around 12:01 a.m. This spirit guide introduced itself and said, I want to take you home with me. This is where you belong. It started dragging me down, and it was getting hot, and it was getting dark, and it was very uncomfortable, and I was chained. And someone had told me, if you ever feel you're in danger, call on Jesus Christ, and he will save you. So I called on Jesus Christ. I said, Jesus Christ, save me from this. And there was like a light from above, and it fled, and the chains dropped off. And from that moment, I said, I believe in Jesus, and I will never doubt that he exists.
Now, were you awake? Just
Yeah,
starting to go
I was
to sleep?
I was starting to go to sleep.
Okay. All right.
I had been awake for 2 days.
Ew. So you were really tired.
No,
How do you explain that?
I had insomnia at the time.
Okay.
It would take me 4 to 6 hours to go to bed, and I would sleep for a couple hours, and then I would get up. I wouldn't get up, but I would be awake. I wasn't allowed to get up.
And what year was that?
That was 1990.
When you got saved?
Yeah.
And after that, have you ever had any experiences with out-of-body astral projecting, anything like that?
Oh, the astral projecting was when I was younger. It wasn't when I got saved. It was when I was probably 10 or 12. And it was on a hot summer night. I might have been hallucinating because of the heat. We didn't have air conditioning. And I didn't drink water or eat or anything a lot of the time because I was punished that way.
Okay. When you got saved and you said that demon or spirit guide was dragging you off, that was in the physical?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever had experiences where you feel like something's happening to you, and you're away from it, and you can see it happening to you?
Yes.
Okay. When were those experiences?
I had an operation. I don't remember when it was or what it was doing. It was on my eyes, I think. I was very young, and it was like they were changing my eyeballs from one person to mine, and they weren't my actual eyeballs because I had an infection from having had my head shoved up a horse's behind end. And I had like this pink film over one of my eyes, and they were bloodshot and painful, and I had blue eyes, and then I had these hazel eyes after that.
So your eye color changed.
Yeah.
Was that permanent?
Yes.
Okay. When did this happen to you?
I don't know. I was younger. It was before I was 20, I can tell you that.
What was that?
It was before I was 16, actually. I was a child. I was probably around 10.
And so you had some like a detachment from yourself where you could see that taking place,
Mhm.
and they did
Kind of
like
like I was watching a video, but it was all around me.
an eye transplant.
Yeah. Not a whole eye transplant. Like they cut out the the front of my eye and replaced it.
Okay. Now, did the doctor say that's what they did to you?
The doctor didn't speak to me.
Like afterwards when you came, oh, you were young, so they really wouldn't have talked to you.
The doctor was murdered afterwards by my dad.
Why do you think he was murdered?
He said this isn't right because I was trying to talk to him and saying I don't want this to happen. I like blue eyes.
Your dad?
No, the
The
doctor.
doctor. Okay, do you have any episodes like that now, lately, in the past couple of years,
No.
where you felt like you weren't there? Okay. Can you speak any other languages?
I know some American Sign. I used to know some Hebrew. I know smidgens of German, and I know a little bit of Spanish and French. More Spanish than French. I
How'd
can
you learn
understand it,
German?
not really speak it.
How'd you learn German?
I don't know. It's like someone can give me a command in German and I'll do it, but I won't know what they're telling me.
Who gave you commands in German?
He said something. He was dating me for a while. He's a worker at. He said that's our garbage. You're not going to share this with anyone. And
What does
he's
that mean?
because he's not supposed to date a client.
Oh.
And he's way older than me. And he said something, and I sat a certain way on the couch. He said, I just told you to do that. You know German.
That's the only time that you remember that somebody gave you a command in German?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear your parents speak German or anybody
They
else?
spoke numerous languages when I was little. We were in a banquet hall of some sort. My dad and me and my brother and my sister. I don't know if my sister was there. My brother was there. My dad was there. A whole bunch of people were there. They were all adults. And they had flags from like Japan, Korea, a Nazi flag, a flag that was blue and had stars on it, I think. And they were talking about Nazis and the New World Order. And they had a black flag.
A black flag?
Uh-huh.
And where was this?
I don't know. It was in a hall.
And how old were you?
I was pretty young. It was before school, or right around the time I started going to elementary school.
Okay.
I was in school at the age of 6, so I was about 6.
Okay.
But there was a flag with a swastika and a circle on it. The swastika was black.
Do you ever have emotions or feelings that suddenly appear that you have no explanation for,
Hmm.
or don't fit the circumstances, in the past 2 years?
Yeah, like typically I'll get scared when I'm out in public or something, and I'll be like, I shouldn't be in this area. It's not feeling right.
Okay, without any really real explanation.
Right, or I'll be really sad all of a sudden.
All right. Do you ever have moments where you feel threatened?
I have been threatened.
So that would be yes.
I didn't feel threatened, but I have been threatened. It just doesn't really faze me usually. I'm the kind of person, instead of fear, I typically react with anger.
So in the past couple of years, you've been threatened, and who were you threatened by?
My parents. My brother. My sister doesn't really threaten me. She
What kind
doesn't
of
have
threats
to.
were these?
They were implied threats. They were like, my dad had me in a chair and he had his hands on my neck and he said, do you want to really know how we made our money and supported this expensive house and all the things that we did in it with just my income? I said, yes. He's like, it could cost you your life. And then he had this guy bring, he said was a courier from the government, he had this guy bring a thing and say, you have been rejected for this important government assignment Your sister has been accepted because she is worthy, but you have been rejected and you will never be redeemed, or something like that. And then he burned the paper. He said it was from the government. I'm like, you're nuts. You're really nuts. And he said there was a small camera in my glasses, and he took it out and he made this little explosion. He said it was booby trapped. And I said, you just messed up my glasses. That's how I typically responded to him. I would not be fazed. I would just.
And how long ago was this?
That was about three years ago, I think.
So as an adult, they're still pulling all these pranks or doing all these things.
Oh yeah, there was a time I was just moved in here about 3 years ago, and my sister was staying at her friend and was kicking her out because she wouldn't take her medicine and she was acting funny. And my dad said something, basically he was going to go and kill her for talking. And I rushed over there and found her tied up with clothes thrown over her, and she was nude underneath. And she wouldn't talk to me. And I untied her, or I called the police. I thought it was a police number, but it wasn't their normal number. It was a number someone had given me. And they said, don't untie her. You can throw something over her, but don't untie her. And then this guy came in and took her in the bathroom, and she was like, you said you wouldn't do this to me. And it was all about some video clip from her computer that she didn't have the password for. And I figured out the password. I figured it was bitch 666. And he sounded like he raped her in the bathroom, but she came out looking pretty okay. And then he hit me and knocked me down and left. And the police never came. The guy came to the door and said he was a policeman, but he didn't come in. And I think if he'd been a real policeman, he would have come in after the call I made.
Now, how old were you when that was going on?
That was 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. And then my sister acted like it never happened. I asked her about it. I said, do you remember this? And she said, no, it never happened. She won't talk to me about our family. Ever. Unless it's positive. And if I ever ask her how she's doing, she'll say, I'm blessed. That's the only response she'll give. It's infuriating. I want to smack her. Like, you're not blessed. You're an idiot.
You think she's scared?
I think she's terrified. I'm too stupid to be scared. I don't learn.
Do you ever have, in the past couple of years, have feelings of everything being surreal?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you said one time you were diagnosed with...
Schizophrenia.
You were diagnosed with schizophrenia.
It changed to schizoaffective. Can I tell you something I didn't tell you?
Yes, absolutely.
You remember how I said my sister was naked at her friend's, our mutual friend's house, Pam's house? She had a wig on, and she had one of those fake scalp pieces to make it look like she had no hair, to make it look like she shaved her head, and I saw some of the hair peeking out from under it. So it's like she was playing with me. She set this up. She helped set this up.
Why would she do that?
To get me to trust her and rely on her. It tells me your sister is the only one who will ever love you. She really loves you. And that makes me think that they're in the same Freemason cult. There are as many levels to Freemasonry as there are rules to be broken in the Bible. They're trying to recruit me. It's not working.
How long have they been doing that for?
Life.
And lately even?
Mm-hmm.
Still trying to recruit you? How do they go about doing that?
Oh, I encounter people at garage sales who have the Freemason signs, and they'll be like, so, anything you want to ask me? It's all about character. That's what they'll tell you in their little pamphlet. I can show you the pamphlet.
Wow. Yeah.
I picked it up like 2 days ago.
All about character in my rear end.
Bad.
You still having problems with insomnia?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Like thinking about the little boy last night.
That was, what you told me was a dream.
No.
Okay, you told me you had.
I dreamed, remembered
what
it.
had happened.
Yeah.
Okay. How often do you think you have a problem with insomnia? 3 times a week, every night?
4 or 5 times a week.
Have you ever been told you had ADD?
By a friend.
Okay, but not by a clinician?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do you think you have ADD?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't be sitting this still for this long.
Do you ever have moments of euphoria
Yes.
lately?
Mm-hmm.
How often do you think you have moments of euphoria?
At night.
Any particular reason for that, or just it?
Because I take what's prescribed. I don't take all of it, though.
Okay. What do you prescribe?
Haldol, 10 milligrams, nightly.
Okay.
I take 7.5.
Do you think it helps?
It puts me to sleep and makes me forget.
Is that a good thing?
Could be.
Is that how you feel about it? That it's a
No.
good thing? Okay, alright. Any other meds that you take?
Vitamin E. Or vitamin D, I mean.
Vitamin D?
Yeah.
Is that prescribed?
No.
This is something you do.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you do that?
I need more vitamin D. I don't get out a lot.
Okay. And there's nothing else that you take?
Sometimes I take ibuprofen
Okay, how often do you take ibuprofen?
when I get a migraine
And how
or a
often?
bad headache. It starts before it becomes a migraine. I take it. I've been taking it probably every week. I had bronchitis, and I went to the doctor for that. I had a problem with bleeding where I was bleeding a lot during my period, and it was actually shooting out. And I thought it was coming out from my urine, so I went to the hospital for that. And I've been in the hospital for depression.
When were you in the hospital for depression?
August and June. And I was in the hospital for anxiety too.
Last August? In
Mhm.
June?
Yep.
Twice, or?
Once each.
Okay.
For about 2 weeks. 20 times in the last 10 years.
And is that what the Haldol's for, or?
They think I hear voices.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear voices. This is what they say.
Now, when you were hospitalized for depression last year, did they give you medication?
Always.
What did they give you?
I've been on so many things I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. I've had in the past Zyprexa. I've
Do
had
you know how to spell that?
Zyprexa. I've had Invega, Invega. I've had
Never heard any
Risperdal.
of those.
I've had Risperdal. These are all Risperdal. These are all antipsychotics. I've had Paxil. I've had Depakote. I've had Restoril for sleep. I've had Navain.
This is throughout your lifetime, though.
In the last few years, in the last 10 years. I think, but I'm not sure. I might have had Maloril too. And shock treatments against my will. And shock treatments against my will.
In the past 10 years?
Mhm. They were giving an elderly lady shock treatments and she died. Then they gave me shock treatments against my will too.
Do you know around about what year that was?
That was about 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago.
So that would be
2010.
2010 to 2.
I was inpatient. Depression. And obedience. We want to make you obedient.
Okay, tell me how that came about.
I was depressed, so I was committed. I've on occasion gone in for depression voluntarily.
Teach you a lesson or something?
Obedience. We want to make you obedient. We want you to take your medicine.
Did you have to sign a waiver or any kind of permission form?
No.
And you voluntarily admitted yourself, and then they...
Oh, I signed a waiver for that. But then they gave me shock treatments against my will, and they said they weren't doing it, but I remembered because the sedative didn't always work.
Yeah, they knock you out first now.
Doesn't always work.
So you were awake.
I was awake when they gave them to me at Lip 2, and they were toying with me and tormenting me. And they said, it's okay, you won't remember.
When were you at Lip?
1996.
For the same reason?
Because that was my first episode where I crashed the car.
And they did shock treatments?
Yeah. Well, that was after 1996. I went first, and then I went to 1998. Because of mental hospital for substance abuse and mental illness.
You were there for substance abuse?
No, I was there because I didn't want to go to the hospital, and I said, I know someone here. And they said, we'll take you, and I just crashed the car. And
Okay. Have you ever had a problem with any kind of substances?
I've never smoked marijuana. I've never done drugs.
Okay.
I took a puff on a cigarette one time in my life, coughed and dropped it, and started the lawn on fire and got beat terribly. For starting the lawn on fire, not really for smoking.
You ever had a problem with alcohol?
I was on Zyprexa, and I was drinking because my neighbor said it wouldn't hurt, and she took me out for bar hopping nightly, and she was selling my body, and she was giving me drugs, I'm pretty sure.
When was this? What year? Give me just a roundabout year.
I was about 29.